tremendous looking trophy.
One of the number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. My name's Dylan White. Joining me, Ashley Hopley.
Hey John, excited to be here to help everybody through their self-isolation.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're now in the Corona entertainment business.
I mean, things like us are more needed now than ever, you know?
Exactly.
Help people get through the boredom of being at home alone.
Yeah, with us. We're here for you. I feel like this isn't even capitalizing that bad considering people are buying up all the hand sanitizer. We're just like, hey, listen to our podcast.
I hear podcasts are going to run out of the apocalypse, so you should just download all of them now while you can.
Yeah, fuck it. Grab a 20 gigabyte iPod, whatever they are. I don't know. This week in the trophy cabinet, a bronze trophy for Silent Hill Room, a silver trophy for Horizon Zero Dawn coming to PC, shock horror, a gold trophy for Herman Hulst saying some interesting things in an interview, and we're going to hit a platinum with Dreams, maybe letting people take their games off the service, which is kind of shocking. But first, I want to make a quick note. I've only played like nearly 2 hours, roughly 2 hours-ish or whatever, but I have started Persona 5, the Royale with Cheese edition. That's right, everyone. I am playing Persona, and I'm committed to finishing...
Contractually obligated.
Well, yeah, because I got a review code. So now I'm contractually obligated. I only got the review code late last week, so that's why I haven't had much time, because... this is like behind. This isn't like pulling the curtain back too far, but I feel like I always end up getting, because like this usually codes get sent out like towards the end of the week usually for stuff that's coming out like the next week sort of thing, or that type of thing. But I always work like the end of the week, and then I work the weekend like 9 times out of 10. So then I end up getting this stuff. I'm like, that's exciting. Can't wait to get to that in 4 days. You know. But anyway, I'm playing. So I'm a couple hours in. My first impressions of this, because it's all I can really give after a couple hours, even for me, as someone who only got around halfway through the first one and then stopped playing it. I can't even remember why I stopped playing it. I think something else came out. I don't know. Anyway, I wasn't contractually obligated to play it. That was the defining difference between the things. But even as someone who never finished it, but did like it, I can straight away see 1,000,001 differences with this. It's not like, oh, there's only going to be, you know, slight things here or there, or like, oh, the character shows up like halfway through the game. No, it's like, if you know the opening mission, you know how the game starts, like, and you escape the casino and you get captured. Even in that opening mission, the new character shows up right there and then, and you have a battle with them. So I'm like, oh, so obviously that's a huge works. And also, they've added this thing now where you can like use a grapple gun basically to get around places, like in dungeons, and that's also introduced in the opening segment. So a lot of that opening stuff is changed because they're like, oh, you can grapple now, battle with this person, blah 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 blah. And I was like, oh, I haven't played it for ages, but I'm still like noticing all the differences straight away, you know. And then there's an extra scene on a train and all this other sort of stuff or whatever. Of course, a lot of it's sort of similar so far, because I'm only just with what's the first? I can't remember. I was gonna say the gym. I'm still doing the gym dudes.
The gym PE teacher or whatever. Yeah.
PE teacher. Like I'm still still working my way through that, obviously. So things change more as you go along. I know they've changed lots of little details here and there, like added more personas and whatever else. So I'm excited. I'm enjoying it. I like the new character. I guess that's the most important thing. Even though I haven't really interacted with her much so far, but from what I've seen, her she's got like, what would you call them? She's got like little dagger type things or whatever and she moves like really fast and attacks with them in the thing. So that's kind of cool inside the dungeons, the Persona world. What's the official name? What was it in the Persona world? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, in Persona 4, it would always be like the TV world. But in this world, it's like the other side. I don't know. Anyway, I'll come back for more. Talk about that when I play more. I just want that it's out on the 31st. I'm hoping my current plan is, amongst other things that I'll have to be playing and reviewing, that I'm hoping to hit the before the release date for my review, because I'm definitely not going to hit embargo day, because embargo day is yesterday by the time this is out. Yeah,
yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. Yes, which is why we're talking about it, obviously. But yeah, I'm not going to hit that because I think even if I had the weekend off, still.
Yeah, you probably can't fit 100 hours in one weekend, believe it or not.
Yeah, mathematically probably doesn't work out. First thing, the big thing that set everyone off on Twitter, of course, last week was Horizon Zero Dawn confirmed for PC. GamesIndustry.Biz writes, Horizon Zero Dawn will be launched on PC this summer. PlayStation has confirmed. The news comes via PlayStation Worldwide Studio President Herman Hulst speaking in an interview of the PlayStation blog, which we'll talk about in a minute. Hulst doesn't rule out any more first-party games coming to PC, but says there are no plans to release PC versions of PlayStation games at the same time as their console counterparts. Horizon Zero Dawn launched on PS4 in March 2017. He said, quote, I think it's important that we stay open to new ideas of how to introduce more people to PlayStation and show people what they've been missing out on, and to maybe put a few minds at ease. Releasing one first-party AAA title to PC doesn't necessarily mean that every game will now come to PC. In my mind, Horizon Zero Dawn was just a great fit in this particular instance. We don't have plans for a day-and-date PC release, and we remain 100% committed to dedicated hardware. Because of course everyone starts getting scared that they're going to do an Xbox and do a day and date, everything's everywhere. Fuck it, go for it. Yeah. I thought this was just not a non-story, but you're just like, oh, that's cool, and you kind of move on. But of course, certain PlayStation waving Sony fanboys on the internet are getting upset because I guess it's like losing a member of your sports team to the competition, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I don't know what the analogy that kind of works for it, you know.
They can't, but they're still playing for you, I guess. I don't know. It's like, it's a weird.
It's a weird.
I mean, I understand it from a certain point because you have that ownership and you feel that team element, that you feel like this is our thing that you need to buy a PlayStation in order to play. But now anybody with a PC, well, a good PC can play it. So.
You kind of could before with
technically you could, but
now and
in
America and whatever.
So I mean, more people can play Horizon Zero Dawn. Hopefully that means more money for Guerrilla Studios, which means that Horizon 2 will come sooner.
I think more or less this confirms that Horizon 2 is probably a PS5 launch title.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. They put
a launch
this out on
title or launch window title?
Launch title. I think that's the feeling I was getting. Simply because they can put this out in a couple months, whenever it is. They haven't put a release date officially yet. Put this out in a couple months, get everyone excited for it over on PC Land, and then they're like, hey, the second one's coming to PS5. That's out in October. Do you want to buy one? And all of a sudden, all these people are like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, that is a smart move, if that's a thing.
That's possibly a thing. I think the other key thing for why this worked, when he says, oh, this was a fit for PC, I think a lot of that comes down to the Decima engine, and it obviously just been quite easy to port over to PC from PlayStation, and must run well there, because that's the key factor shared between this and Death Stranding, of course. Even though the Death Stranding thing isn't the same as this, because PlayStation never owned that IP. And also, PlayStation isn't publishing the PC release of that. 505 Games is, whereas PlayStation will actually be, unless I'm missing something here, but it seems they're just like, yeah, we're publishing it for PC, you know? So
yeah,
I mean, they have published PC games before, so it's not crazy. It's just a bit weird. Be interesting to check it out, and also presumably the other thing that may, I guess, sort of piss PlayStation fans off is whenever it releases and it most likely runs and looks better than the version they played. Although the PS Pro version is still probably one of the best looking games.
I'm sure. I don't know how much better it can look.
It might run at 60.
Sure, you'll be able to use your whatever it's called, card or whatever. The light thing that the PS5 is going to have.
Oh, what?
Ray tracing.
Oh, right.
You got your ray tracing cards, got your fancy other things that will improve different little things, but I don't think overall it'll be a massive improvement. But I guess too, the hardcore PC fans will be look much better.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised if it just at least runs at 60 or on PC. I don't know what the frames were on PS4. They went 60 though. But if it does that, then I guess that's their one flag to wave in the sky.
It'll be great. Gamers will hack it, and then you'll be able to play the entire game as young Aloy. Imagine.
I mean, probably. It'll be interesting to see if they've got any random DLC for it, because Death Stranding had the Half-Life stuff, so don't know if they'll do anything sort of similar. All right, I want to read over couple other things from the Herman Hulst thing that he posted here. Some of them are interesting, I guess, if you read between the lines. So in full, by the way, the thing where they ask here is there anything you can tell us about your vision for the future of Worldwide Studios, whether it's going to be a next generation or beyond? And he says the whole thing about being committed to hardware stuff. And he says at the same time, we're going to be very open to experimentation, new ideas, just trying things out, see if they work. Speaking of experimentation, and that's when he reveals that Horizon Zero Dawn is coming. By the way, it's weird reading an interview that's on the PlayStation blog, because it's like PlayStation blog asks this, but they're never going to ask something that's like,
like they're not going to get the answer they want.
yeah, exactly. So it's a weird thing to read.
It's not like they would have asked it if the answer was no.
No, it's just it's just a way to set up a Q&A, I guess. They say PlayStation is no longer is no stranger to titles publishing on PC, but Horizon Zero Dawn is one of the largest games to make that leap. Is there anything you would say to PlayStation fans? What does it mean for the future? He says, sure, it's important for us to stay from new ideas and introduce more people to PlayStation and show them what they've been missing out on. Which, exactly, it's like that key line there is why I'm like, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, launch day, get PC people to come buy a PS5. Because they can't win the battle next generation Xbox PC, because Xbox is just going to own that. They can try and get some of those people to come over, but they don't have an easy way to get them to understand what they get on PS5, unless they put a game on PC. So that's kind of what they're doing, I guess. 100% dedicated to dedicated hardware. Yeah, okay. This is what they asked. What do you think about Dreams? I think the Media Molecule pulled off. It was just pure wizardry. Jeez, guys. These guys are empowering players to make and share their own games. If you reflect on that, not only did they create a new engine and not just an edit suite, but a digital content creation suite on top of it. I've been speaking with a few graphic coders from other teams about Dreams, and it's hard for them to get their hands around it. They're puzzled at how Media Molecule pulled it off. I'll tell you how they pulled it off, actually. They did it by not crunching, but we're not going to talk about that. PlayStation...
I think there were a few extra steps as well.
That's right.
That wasn't the one main difference between all other projects and Media Molecule's Dreams.
I brought it up now, so I have something to say, actually.
All right, let's get into it.
Because if you don't know what we're talking about, Jason Schreier published a article about Naughty Dog crunching on The Last of Us 2. Said that a bunch of people have been leaving, unhappy. Basically said that a lot of the long-running talent there have been leaving, and they've had to bring in less talented people, less experienced people, and kind of train them up to fill the roles, blah, 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 blah. It was a really interesting read. Then this other person on Twitter, and an ex-animator there, did a thread basically confirming and saying that, yeah, it sucked. I've then seen a bunch of other people who work at Naughty Dog have then sort of, without saying exactly what they're talking about, but very obviously what they're talking about, tweeting out how much they love working at Naughty Dog and they haven't had a bad experience and blah, 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 blah. And I wasn't really going to talk about it because I feel like we've talked about it a lot and that I'll just end up saying the same things over and over here. But the thought I had yesterday, when I was reading a bunch of because when I saw someone post something positive, they're like, I love working here. And then someone in the comments is like, well, you're wrong because I just read the Jason Schreier thing, blah, 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 blah. And, on the opposite side, they're going to the animator dude and saying, well, how come all these other people are happy, blah, 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 blah. And my thought was well, why can't they all be right?
Yeah.
That's the one thing I feel like people aren't talking about.
I hate to say it, but maybe some people love doing their jobs and enjoy that crunch element, like to a certain extent. Like, sure, it can be exhausting, but they get the fulfillment out of the end product and that kind of thing. Ideally, they wouldn't be in that position, but if that's the culture, and if that's the kind of people Naughty Dog is trying to utilize and I don't know, hire, that's the culture they're trying to build. Ideally, that's not great, but I mean, the end results speak for themselves. So I mean, it's hard to go.
Was that even
doing
that?
it wrong.
Some of the people that are tweeting out just being like, "Yeah, I've never had the crunch ever. I work at Naughty Dog. I've been working here for 5 years or whatever. I've never heard any of this stuff." And people are like, "Well, you're lying because Jason Schreier said this." And I'm like, how about no one's lying? How about
it's a big studio?
Yeah, it's a big studio. And how about we could just take a step back and think there is going to be a whatever percentage of people that are very happy there, that do little to no crunch, have no problems, love the place, think it's the best place I've ever worked.
The receptionist is probably not doing crunch.
Probably. And then, can't we all? And then also on the opposite end, we can also accept, as Jason Schreier's article points out, that there probably have been people there who have burnt the fuck out because they got not forced, but kind of given the side eye, we like it, it's, and this is the thing where they talked about because I saw a lot of people online being like, well, they don't make you have to crunch, blah, 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 blah. But this is the same as the Rockstar thing that we read about when Kotaku covered that as well, which it was like, hey, you're not required, but we do like if everyone, it was that sort of forcing everyone into a workplace where if you're the one that's not going to do it, then you're going to look like a asshole, yeah. So then and you kind of get forced into doing that sort of stuff. It's not everyone lifting everyone up positively. It's like everyone sort of enabling everyone else around them to continuing that stuff. So yeah, it's in my mind, I'm reading Jason Schreier's thing, and I believe it. I'm like, there's probably a bunch of people here like this, but then I'm seeing a lot of people on Twitter, legit people, not fake fucking burner accounts, legit people, some who I was already following, talking about how happy they've been. That animator dude did that whole thread. I'm like, I will believe you, but at the same time, the one part of his thing that I didn't really like is I thought he went stepped on the line a little bit when he did the one part where he said that if Naughty Dog had better people running it, the game would have come out a year ago. I was like, you don't know that. I was like, no offense, but you're not.
You just were complaining about crunch.
Yeah.
And you want them to release the game a year ago?
I thought that was a bit weird because I'm like, I was on board. I'm like, I understand what you're saying. This probably sucks, blah, 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 blah. But also when you got to that part, I'm like, but okay, you're an animator and your job isn't
gameplay,
management, coding, producing, any of those sorts of roles, right? So to say, if they had better people doing it, it would have came out a year ago. I'm like, I feel like he stepped outside his field there with that comment. You know what I mean? To that's not really what you should be saying. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on all that, I guess. It's, once again, I just read the articles. Jason wants to write them. I'll read them. I feel like everyone should read them, but, not take them with a grain of salt, because I'm not trying to say that he lies, but also when you see other people saying the opposite things, you can believe everyone and understand that there isn't one, there's not a right and a wrong. There can be just everyone's right.
Yeah.
That is an option. That is an option that exists. Anyway, he talked Herman Hulst interview. Back to that. He talks a little bit about the TV stuff here. So they say PlayStation Productions is out to expand the reach of PlayStation IP by bringing to mediums like film and TV. There's not a lot of info out there. Can you tell us about the strategy? He said, I would say the purpose of creating PlayStation Productions is to introduce our stories, characters, and worlds to new audiences while making content our fans will be proud of. The approach is to bring together film and TV directors, work with people who have a ton of respect and passion for our gaming IP. We've got IP dating back more than 25 years now, and we've been delighted to find quite a few PlayStation fans among these film and TV creators. What I've come to understand is that our IP is perfectly suited to adapt to linear storytelling. In a film and TV market where IP and franchises are king, we've built up the most exciting IP libraries in entertainment. I should mention that we're including the game makers in the expansion process. We want to ensure that we're very authentic in that approach. It's really important that game makers are a big part of it, we're not just creating direct copies of our games. We're really making an effort to adapt their stories to best fit that medium. So I think reading between the lines, you get a little bit of information potentially towards, the Last of Us thing, obviously. I don't think in my mind, the Uncharted thing was like well before any of this. Uncharted thing's kind of like coming in right as the cusp of this.
Yep, came out stuff. 10, 20 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not really counting. The Last of Us is obviously the first of these, the way they're approaching it. But everything he said there is, I would say, was what I would like to hear and what I think makes sense, where they're like, we want to, him saying that they want to make sure the game creators are involved. I think everyone should be happy with that going forward, because it basically sounds like anything they choose to adapt, they're going to be trying to get a Neil Druckmann or whoever from said property on board, involved with the adaptation of whatever the game is. And also the part where he says about making sure that they adapt the stories to best fit the medium. I think that makes sense. The part about bringing new people to it by also making fans happy. I think that's also the way to approach it. And I would say that the ratio of that is kind of going to be very weighted towards new people. And I know that's probably not what people want to hear, but that's just the way that is going to make the most sense, especially if you're not doing that. I don't think there's any reason to do it personally. Like in my mind, you want to go like 70-30 even or something, 70% you're making this thing in an attempt to bring in new audiences, 30% to keep fans happy. I do not even think it should be close to 50-50. And it should definitely not be to weighted the other way, 30% to 70% to keep the people happy. Because at that point, don't make it. It's fine. People already like it. They'll play the game again. There's absolutely no point to it. Anything that stands out there to you?
No, I think we hit every note. But yeah, it definitely seems like they're going to be pushing that element forward, which I guess makes sense when it's part of a large entertainment company. That why wouldn't they? Why have they been sitting on these properties for so long? I guess.
I think it's one of those things where, so we've seen over the last not 12 months, like 6 months or whatever it's been. Sony's like, oh, we're closing down all the walls, and we're not going to have like separate, Sony this, Sony that, Sony this. We're just going to have Sony as a whole, or PlayStation as a whole, SIE as a whole, right? Or SI, Sony Entertainment or whatever. And shutting down like the Europe, Asia, whatever, that sort of stuff. So everyone can work together better. But I guess like maybe as a company overall, Sony's trying to do that as well. Like get down the walls between the games and the movie department, the TV department, these sorts of things. Because they all sort of always run on their own, So maybe they're trying to actually make sure they're like, we've got all these things, let's work together. Maybe that's an idea that we could do. And the last thing that he's got in here, which we'll talk about now. I was very tempted to put it in of a segment just to play the theme tune, but it's okay. We know about the Uncharted film. What other projects are underway? He said, we're very excited. The Uncharted film starts shooting this month with Columbia Pictures. It's got a great cast. Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg, and recently announced Antonio Banderas. It's going to be a really fun movie. It will help reach the audience who maybe haven't heard of Uncharted before. A big one recently announced, we're partnering with HBO on The Last of Us TV show. We're so excited to be working with an award-winning team that brought you Chernobyl, with Craig Mazin co-writing the show with our very own Neil Druckmann from Naughty Dog. Yay! Not even he can we're very excited. Uncharted. I'm sure you are, Herman. I'm sure you bloody are, You losing your mind over there waiting for this Uncharted movie to come out. We all are. I expect a trailer next month. Also, not to make a bad joke, but also I couldn't help but thinking as I was putting together these notes and going through these stories earlier, like, but what if we sit down next week and it's Uncharted movie is postponed because of coronavirus? They're supposed to start shooting it soon.
I mean, the headline just writes itself, really, when you think about it.
And everyone will be like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the Uncharted movie created the fucking coronavirus so they could get our shooting again. They can't escape it. They just keep finding a way out every time. Crazy.
I mean, and if it gets delayed, I mean, it's going to be delayed a while because that next Spider-Man movie is coming pretty quick. So,
so it'll be another couple of years away.
Yeah. And in that time, anything could happen. Mark Wahlberg's career could actually pick up.
Oh, calm down.
I mean, Antonio Banderas could do something cool, and become unavailable, and that would be a disappointment.
He was an Oscar-nominated person last year, right?
Yeah.
Do you mean Hollywood? You go back to doing Puss in Boots and Shrek movies?
Yeah. Puss in Boots 2, the movie that we've all been clamoring for.
Yeah, me too. Exactly. Rumours Silent Hills to return on PS5 alongside separate series reboot rights over at Push Square. Rumours did not get much juicier than this one, folks. Speculation of a Silent Hill franchise reboot has been doing the rounds for a couple of months now. However, things have gone a couple of notches in the past couple of hours. As is Ronus. According to Rely on Horror, Sony currently has both a Silent Hills revival project in the works for PlayStation 5, as well as a completely separate reboot of the series. That's 2 titles on their way to next-gen consoles, funded by Sony, while Konami continues to own the IP. We understand how hard this is to believe, and we continue to stress that these rumors should be taken with a grain of salt. But Rely on Horror and known Capcom insider Aesthetic Gamer have both proven track records when it comes to this sort of stuff. There could be some truth to it all. So Sony is supposedly working to patch up Konami's relationship with Hideo Kojima in order to bring Silent Hills back on PS5. Meanwhile, Separate Project is resurrecting the main franchise with a reboot helmed by SIE Japan Studio. The game has been in development for about a year of writing, with Kiichiro Toniyama, Akira Yamaoka, and Masahiro Ito having some sort of involvement. This isn't the first time we've heard of such a game being in the works either, with the same 2 sources reporting on such a reboot alongside a Telltale-style spin-off game, which I think I talked about on here or somewhere. It's like months and months and months ago, I think.
Sounds like something.
It's at the time it was allegedly Sony has pitched the game to Kojima as a title more akin to a Telltale / supermassive narrative-driven title, which would offer him full creative freedom. Our source does emphasize, however, that Silent Hills is not yet a done deal, and that for now the only game in active development is the reboot from SIE Japan Studio. While Sony is pushing for the series comeback, our sources do say that they're out to own the Silent Hill IP. Sony and Konami are working together on these titles. So as they point out, this does read like fan fiction, but the only reason I'm talking about it is because they are right. Those sites do have previous ticks against their names for getting leaks and such right, or else I wouldn't really bother. But and also, not to rewind a couple weeks or whatever it was, the Tin Hat Theory, when old mate over on the Kojima account tweeted out the fucking picture of the little notepad saying next week, and people zoomed in on the pencil, and the pencil said pyramid, and then some other fucking thing, and everyone started thinking that was something to do with Silent Hills, so.
I mean, yeah, maybe there is something into it. I mean, it's smart from Sony to try and get Kojima on board if they're pushing to work on this Silent Hills franchise, because obviously PT was such a big ordeal. And people are still clamoring for that. I feel like if they could find a way for him to do that, that would be pretty cool for all the fans. So.
The only part I don't really understand is how if Konami still owns the IP, but Sony's paying for it, they have to work out a very weighted payment plan towards Sony. I feel they're like,
well, it would be like Spider-Man. Marvel owns the IP.
I guess
it would be whatever the same sort of deal. I guess.
I guess if that's how it's working, then sure. So they pay. They're like, hey, we'll pay you X amount to
license
license Silent Hill, and we want to make a game with it. And then Konami agrees because they don't know what the fuck they're doing anyway.
They're like, hey, we're busy with these Pachinko machines.
Yeah.
We're trying to get all the balls to fit right.
Yeah.
We don't have time for these video game things.
So then they're like, yeah, whatever. Which would mean that if it does release, and it is real, then it would be a PlayStation exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Konami's like, no, only if you publish it everywhere, which would be a weird, sort of hang up.
No, because I think the success of Spider-Man again would show that it's not necessarily needed. It's
true.
Cross-platform release, yeah.
Yeah. And then the other interesting thing, if that is true, is then what happens if after the game's out, Xbox goes to them and they're like, hey, can we license the Silent Hills franchise? We want to do our own. And they're like, okay.
I mean, I don't know why Xbox would want to do that.
I don't know.
That's like a bold choice to like, hey, we saw that you did this thing with the IP. We're gonna take this IP and go
it probably wouldn't happen, but just the idea that it is like something that could happen, I guess, because that can't happen with the Spider-Man thing, like
it could.
Not really.
They could just wait till their deal is done and then say, hey.
I really do not think there's any world in which Sony, who still owns part of the Spider-Man like rights, would be like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I don't know how much the games is a bit part of that licensing deal, but
I'm pretty sure they've got the game side of it, or at least would have a say in it.
Yeah, but I think that deal's completely separate to the films.
Maybe. It's a hard deal to understand. I don't really.
Otherwise, they would have been making Spider-Man games ages ago instead of letting Ubisoft or whatever Activision make them back in the day. The time.
Yeah, well, Activision owned the rights. Then they ran out, I think, right?
Yeah.
So now they reverted back to someone. That's why I'm presuming it's Sony.
I assumed it was to Marvel, and then Sony went, "Hey, we've got a great idea. We've got a good studio, and we'll make you a lot of money. We'll make the best Spider-Man game ever," and they did.
Fair. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with this Silent Hills thing. By the way, nothing really came of that whole Konami picture next week thing. I guess I think that was prior to the PC release date. So you could just say that was the PC release date, and that would be the most sane answer to that. However, people on the internet I've still seen are being like, oh, maybe the announcement of Silent Hills got delayed because
coronavirus.
Yeah. That's everyone's answer to everything now.
Anything that's not announced straight away, coronavirus.
Yeah. Why haven't they announced this? Why haven't they done Nintendo Direct in a while? Why isn't there a state of play? What's
coronavirus?
Last news story for the show over at Gamasutra. Dreams dev testing the waters of letting players monetize their work. Media Molecule today opened a special beta program for its game-making PS4 game Dreams, which allows select players to put their Dreams creations to commercial use beyond PlayStation's ecosystem. This is an important step for the British studio to take because Dreams promises players access to a broad, powerful game creation toolset, yet of now offers no clear way to share their creations outside of Dreams. It's also an opportunity to watch and learn how a major studio handles the consequences of running a game predicated on user-generated content. Dreams challenges players to create everything from music to art to full games, and in today's blog post detailing the new program, studio director CEO Ben Reddy admits that the studio is still figuring out how to let players use their Dreams creations outside of the PlayStation platform, saying, quote, "We've had lots of questions from creators about using Dreams for viable business opportunities off PlayStation, such as concept artwork. We welcome and encourage creators to do this, but it's new territory for us. We've been busy behind the scenes mapping out how we can make it easier for creators to do this in the future. We're kicking this off with a beta evaluation where creators can submit an application to use Dreams for a specific project. To qualify for this program, creators must be over 18 and have been using Dreams to create work during a lengthy early access beta period, which precedes its launch last month. Media Molecule says creators will retain the rights to any IP they create, but the studio expects participants to provide regular feedback and, where possible, appropriately credit Dreams in the final products. For more details and apply, you can check out the application form. So it's interesting. There's a lot of
they're opening a can of worms.
They're opening a big can of worms.
That was like very much open. The worms were already like bursting out of the can already, but now they're like starting to open it fully. So the worms.
And this is something that they talked about a lot, even when the early access on, lots of articles, and we talked about them here, where it's like, Yeah, the whole game is run on user-generated content. Like, does anyone if anyone creates a game in Dreams that's like someone's favorite, or like magically someone in Dreams creates like one of the best games of the year, and they don't own their IP, they don't have any way to make money off that, they don't have anyone to commercialize. You know what I mean? Like, people have always wondered how interesting it would be if such a situation arose, and how people would handle that. Like, if you make music in Dreams and export it, do you own that music? You know, like, there's lots of interesting little tidbits about like legally what's happening when using Dreams, because they have more or less created a game engine, but it's not, because if you download whatever Unreal 3 or whatever, and you make a game in it, it's your game. There's no, that's how it works. You know, the Unreal doesn't pertain anything other than stick our fucking logo at the start of your game. You know, made with Unreal or some shit. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know how long we got to wait, I guess, to find out.
A while, I'd suspect.
Like, if people are submitting now, like how long it'll take for people to roll out.
Well, it depends on the project as well, and I assume Dreams, that like there'll be some quality control. Like, it won't be people making crappy versions of Sonic, submitting it, and then getting able to monetize it for some reason. It's interesting, I guess. Like, they mentioned concept artwork, I guess that could be a thing. Like, they want to release it elsewhere.
Yeah.
But I guess they just want to be credited that it was made in Dreams, and like that kind of stuff. It's an interesting concept. Like, even the music thing, I'm like, hey, like, maybe Media Molecule like publishes like your music to Spotify, and they take a cut.
Maybe. I was just quick scanning. There's not actually that many. I mean, it's sort of long, but not as long as you'd expect. The terms and conditions for the beta here. So it says you have to be 18, confirm these things, agree to provide regular, detailed, and accurate feedback, evaluation of the use of Dreams in any off-platform use to Media Molecule. Format solely at Media Molecule's discretion. So I guess in respect to what platform you are using, so if you're using it for like creating art, then you have to tell them how it's going. I don't know. Agree to appropriately credit Dreams on the final creation where possible by including the Made in Dreams logo alongside other credits. So not like the Made in Dreams down the bottom right hand corner. Like, by the way, in case anyone doesn't know, you can turn that off. In case anyone doesn't know this, you can literally click options and turn it off. I saw someone on Twitter the other day saying like it's stupid how you can't. I'm like, you can. But I leave it on because if I ever upload gameplay, I just like having it there. So it's like a little watermark. It doesn't bother me, but agree to share the expertise acquired during their evaluation of Dreams in relation to the project. Agree to share work in progress with Media Molecule when requested. Consent to Media Molecule contracting the creators in relation to the project via their email addresses. Consent to feature the project in PlayStation PR promotional materials. Where there's lots of little things here, you know, like you may get to take it off, but they will also be able to just use it to advertise that. I guess if you make a game, you take the game off, the game's now yours, but also they retain a little bit because they can just use it for marketing materials to market Dreams again based on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you never fully are going to own the full IP and all the decision makings of any.
Well, you'll own the
IP,
but you'll have a lot of like ties.
Yeah, you're gonna you cannot escape
because
your Dreams home
because they obviously gave you that platform to create the thing that you're making money on.
This one. If consent for creator participation in this evaluation is withdrawn or the creators no longer wish to take part, creators must destroy or return to Media Molecule all complete or partial copies of the information which Media Molecule provided to them. Creators must also give Media Molecule or certify to Media Molecule that they have destroyed all analyses, studies, or other materials produced which relate to the information, and any summaries in whatever form Media Molecule retains the right at any time to ask creators to do this. Get fucked! Burn your house down! Get that shit the fuck out of here. Intellectual property rights are retained by the respective owner. That's number 3 point. It's like, oh, you do have your IP, but we can use it for an ad. Permission for creators to evaluate dreams for the purpose of the project is subject to creators ensuring that all UGC's original content does not contain any third-party intellectual property rights. So that one, if that was all mumbo jumbo, basically is them saying, if you try to apply to take your Crash Bandicoot game out of Dreams, we will say no. Like there's no if and buts about that. No. Everything in your game or artwork or music or whatever has to be 100% user generated content, which means really thousands of people or however many apply for this, shit is going to take so fucking long for anyone to get ticked for this, because Media Molecule will want to fine tooth go over whatever to make sure that they're not allowing someone to take something with potentially copyright stuff off, and do whatever they want with it. This one's funny. All communication between Media Molecule and creators shall be in English. Okay, well, can't be. It's a bit rude.
Wow.
Yeah, no, right. Approval for evaluation. Approval for evaluation of dreams is granted on a per project basis. Each new project must be submitted by an application. If there are changes to a project beyond the proposals submitted and accepted by Media Molecule, creators must seek Media Molecule's further approval in writing for all modifications. So you must, if you tell them you're doing thing A and then you change it to thing B, then too bad. Media Molecule reserves the right to change these old terms whenever they want, because it's currently in beta period. That's interesting. I'm going to be super interested to see how this goes forward in the future, because honestly, that's one of the most interesting things happening at the moment in my mind for whatever reason. Just because I don't get it. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they really work it. I don't know what it looks like 6 months to a year from now if people are publishing Dreams games on the PlayStation Store afterwards, and then there's an ad for Dreams saying that game that you bought for $2.99 was created on Dreams.
How are they running without Dreams, I guess? I don't know. Yeah. But if they can find a way, that's cool.
I guess that's a long-term plan.
Again, like we say, they need to find a way to monetize this game. I mean,
well,
more importantly, will these games be able to have trophies?
That is an important thing.
Will you be able to make cheap trophy games?
And if not, get the fuck out
Dreams.
of here. Alright, so for in our Dreams this week, I picked The Pilgrim, which was created by, now let me get really close to my screen so I can read this correctly, Narvikgutten, Narvik, sorry, Narvik, Gutten, and Majoneskongen, I don't know, Majoneskongen. Of course, if you're
Majoneskongen.
Sure, I don't know. If you'd like to play the game and quickly add it to your play later queue in Dreams, explosionnetwork.com/ourdreams takes you straight to the newly updated, by the way, Dreams list. Now, if you're looking at it in your web browser, it still just looks the same. They all look the same. It just chucks them all in like a sort of playlist list, and then you can follow it that way. For your web browser, that's fine. You click follow creation. Then when you boot up Dreams and you go to my creation, the Platinum Explosion Dreams thing, you'll see that I went in, I moved them around, and I put like the episode numbers below them. Yeah, fucking get hyped, It's great. That was a good use of an hour of my time. This week's game was one, I don't remember how I found it. Honestly, I can't remember. I played it like last week, and then straight away, I was like, this thing's batshit crazy. I think I left a comment, something along the lines when I finished playing it. I think I commented on the game, 11 out of 10. This game is basically Kingdom Hearts, and there's keys at the end of it. I don't know what the fuck happened, but it was great. And then both the dudes who created it, like the comment like pretty fast. I was like, lol, that's funny. But you start the game, and I got to be honest, when I started this game, I was like, I don't know if this is super interesting. But things quickly pick up pace and got a little bit more interesting. Because you just start as this little pilgrim dude, and there's some light platforming as you make your way up this tower, or whatever it is. Like you circle around it, you jump on things and whatever else. It's whatever. You get up there and then you grab on this butterfly, and then you go to level 2. And then from like level 2 onwards, things start to like pick up pace. The music has some mad soundtrack in it. At one level's like
great soundtrack.
Yeah, one level's off the fucking chain with the music. I'm like, oh my god, this is nutso. Towards the end of the game, you start getting like all these powers. I feel like it changes genre at one stage to like a twin stick shooter type thing that's happening. Yeah. And then at the end of the game, like it ended, and I was like, wow, I feel like I've done something, like I've achieved something, because it takes like half an hour to play, I guess, or I don't know, like I feel like it's.
I think it was like 20 minutes. There was a timer right at the end.
Yeah. So it's definitely not short, but I mean, it's not like super long either. But yeah, but got to the end, I'm like, wow, I feel like either I don't understand what the fuck happened, or I'm not supposed to. Either way, that was quite intense.
It was, yeah.
What do you think of it?
Yeah, it was good. A nice mix of different elements. I thought for a while it was just going to be a tower thing where you walk up a tower for ages.
Yeah, that first level, like, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's cool. All right, but then it gets weird with like weird platforming elements, like platforms like firing up in the air and shit to jump on and that kind of thing. And yeah, it was good. Very interesting. Weird as there's like weird satanic stuff in it for some reason, like Pentecostal cross stars, whatever, like spider monsters all of a sudden. And there's 3 endings apparently, so you have to go back 3 times to play it to get all the endings.
I mean, another Kingdom Hearts thing at the end of the game. Spoilers. For whatever reason, you have to pick from 3 different objects, like the moon, the sun, and something else. I think I can't remember. The void, yeah. And it reminded me of picking between the shield, the sword, or the hammer in Kingdom Hearts when you have to pick your stuff at the start of the game. And I was like, man, this game. I don't know why I'm relating this game so hard to Kingdom Hearts right now, but it's what I got going on. It's what's working for me. But yeah, 3 endings. The one I got, it was great. I couldn't.
It was fine. Which one did you pick?
The moon or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. I picked the sun. He just goes out into a beach. That's it.
Mine was
just walks onto a beach.
Mine was, I think he's like sitting on top of this castle watching the moon or something. So I guess the void is just go.
You just look at the void.
You just look at the void.
Look into the void.
Either way, no, it's good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was that other than the first level trick shot. Like,
this is fine. If you can get past that, then it gets weird.
It gets very weird very fast. And I feel like it's done on purpose, but also I nearly just like stopped playing 2 minutes into it or whatever in that first level. I was like, I don't know about this. And I was nearly going to do something else, but I was like, oh, fuck it. I'll get to the top of this castle, see what's happening. And I got to the top and I jump onto that butterfly or whatever the fuck goes on. And then off we went. And I was like, damn, I was hooked. Sat here playing. I was trying to just play a couple games. I ended up playing this one for half an hour. And I was like, that's it. Shit ain't getting better tonight. I'm done now. That's it. Lock in my dreams pick for next week. There's no fucking around. So that's great. Once again, The Pilgrim by those people's names I said. explosionnetwork.com/streams. That's where you'll find it. And I'll do it for this week's episode of Platinum Explosion. Follow us all on Twitter by heading to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. That's where you find old accounts. You just click follow, do it all. You can suggest topics or send in questions for the show by emailing mail@explosionnetwork.com with the subject line Platinum Explosion. Thing you can do. And until next week, remember, every trophy counts. Even the ones you earn in Dreams games released separately from Hey, don't forget you can subscribe to the show wherever you're currently listening, and you can drop a review if you can. Find more great shows like this and more content over at explosionnetwork.com. And please consider supporting us for as little as $1 over on our Ko-fi page by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thanks for listening.